My name is John O'Brien, and I'm a Civil War reenactor from Massachusetts. The unit that I reenact with is the Salem Light Infantry, and I'm wearing the uniform of the Salem Zouaves, which was a great craze in the United States and Europe for quite some time in the middle of the 19th century.
I'm at an outdoor festival and I see in the distance a tent with some reenactors from the Civil War period. I'm a little nervous to ask them to pose, but I build up my courage and go up to them, and they're very willing to pose, as most reenactors are.
The uniform consists of the red kelpie that I'm wearing with the gold braid and blue jacket and vest with red trim, gold buttons, blue chasseur pants and gaiters.
I start by laying in the basic shapes of the face, knowing that my subject is going to be moving constantly throughout the whole process. Once I have the basic outline of the face down with water-soluble colored pencil, I can use water from the water brush to establish an overall tone for the skin tones. Then I can come in with a watercolor brush, using watercolor from the pan watercolor to paint in the larger areas, the dark blue of the jacket, the red of the hat. And now I've got something that I can detail later.
We practice every week. Every week. Rain, snow, heat. However, I will say we don't always stay out the same amount of time. We do that drill to a cadence of 90 beats to the minute, and every beat is a move of the rifle.
Now in terms of technique, I'm switching now between watercolor, using a flat watercolor brush, and then dipping the watercolor brush into some cake watercolor pans in a small half pan set. These are traditional pigments using Carmine Lakes and ultramarines and some cobalt yellows and some very old-fashioned pigments, which seemed appropriate for doing a Civil War reenactor.
And we do McClellan's bayonet manual primarily. We also do Kelton and Carey, which were two contemporary fencing manuals. They are translations of the French originals, and I'm not sure of which ones go to which guy, so I won't bother to mention that. You can look it up on Google. We also use Matthew Berryman's Saber manual, which was written specifically for Civil War officers who did not have access to a fencing master. And as I like to say, it's real simple, real stripped down. It's to keep the other guy busy until one of your other men can get around behind him and bayonet him in the kidney.
Now I'm also using colored pencils and water brushes, and using them, mixing them back and forth, depending on which of the tools is the most efficient. So in some cases, it's just faster to use a pencil to draw a straight line, to draw a colored line, than it would be to mix that color. So I keep those in my left hand and switch between them. The most important part of the portrait, of course, are the features of the face, and that's what I spend the most time on. I want to get the basic flat skin tones in the light, the basic shadow side. The light is coming through the opening of the tent. And then save the darkest accents like the pupils of the eye and the nostrils and the ear for last. I have to paint around the highlights on the nose and the cheek, but if I need to, I can come in at the end with gouache or cassine white to establish those highlights. But I use a flat watercolor brush to hit some of the planes in the nose and the cheek just to turn those forms. But basically, in the portrait I'm going from light to dark, and saving the strongest light and dark accents for the last. Doing a portrait of a reenactor is a great experience. It's an encounter with a person who's really studied the history of the person that they're portraying, who knows a lot about the costume and the life that they would have lived.